Welcome to Moments with Marianne. This is your host, Marianne Pastana. And we're here today with special guest, Tisha Marie Cain, who's here to share with us Beyond the Courtroom, leading with clarity and inner authority. So what if the systems you trust are the very ones keeping you stuck? What do you do then? Well, today's guest is here to share with us how to overcome just that. So, Tisha Marie Cain is a private counsel, C-suite breakthrough mindset coach, clinical hypnotherapist, and multiple #1 best-selling international author and artist who helps people rewire their subconscious, release emotional weight, and transform their relationship with money, power, and self-worth. She works with a wide range of clients, including Fortune 500 executives and visionary leaders, guiding them through deep mindset work, subconscious healing, and unapologetic self-liberation. After surviving domestic abuse and overcoming false charges that nearly cost her 14 years of freedom, she now helps others reclaim theirs with clarity, confidence, and courage. So welcome to the show, Tisha Marie Cain.
Wow, thank you, Marianne. I already got full body chills from that introduction, so thank you so much.
Well, what a tremendous honor it is to have you here again and to really dive into your legal services. I mean, you've built a remarkable reputation as a master communicator and a legal professional who helps families avoid this emotional and financial toll of family court. Can you walk us through the work you do with families navigating divorce and why so many people are coming to you instead of working through family court?
Wow, thank you. I can. And I am a leader in the community because I teach families how to properly communicate. Typically, when the families come to me, they're often heart weary, like they're tired of the conflict that's been happening in their lives. They're confused. They're wrapped up in the chaos of the family court. And so like my role is to hold like space for emotional complexity. So, what that means is I give people the space to process what they value and what they honor in their heart. So, unlike the adversal family court, when you come to me, I help facilitate a compassionate dialogue where both mom and dad can really be heard. And so, what I'm finding these days is that families are choosing this path because they want more protection for their children. They want to preserve their peace. You know how adversal family court can be. And they want to part ways with dignity. And I typically tell my families, you know, for whatever reason, you guys had a marriage contract. We're going to break that marriage contract and we're just going to do a new contract. And you don't have to hate each other in the process. So I really love bringing families through with effective communication and through heart-centered dialogue back and forth for each other.
Well, so many people, when they're, thinking about the process of a divorce and getting ready to start the divorce process, they're told, go hire a good attorney. So, why do you believe families should pause and consider a different path forward, especially when they hear that?
Yeah. Interesting when they say hire a good attorney. I just kind of laugh at that because I think it often stems from, these models of being a fear-based model. Like they say words like that, like to prepare for the battlefield, to um, protect what's yours, to embrace for impact. And our families are not battlefields. Our families are to be protected. And so I approach divorce from a place of compassion rather than a combat. And I help facilitate change. So I like to encourage families to kind of pause before they go out and hire a good attorney and take a breath and ask, for us, what is resolution? What does peaceful resolution look like for me and my family? And how can that be centered with love and respect? And how can we honor ourselves and our children in that process?
So, why does a family court process take so long and who's actually benefiting from the delays?
The family court is by design. It's by design to be slow. They're overburdened. They're often reactive rather than restorative. And each delay, each motion, each procedural hurdle that we have to go through often adds more emotional and financial strain to the families. And that's why they seek me out, because the truth is these prolonged cases often benefit from the system itself. And I talk about this every day. Attorneys billing by the hour, experts like rolling into our lives and into our cases. The system is fueled by conflict. And it's my belief that the system wants to keep us in arguments and keep us arguing, and they don't want a peaceful resolution. So that's why I am committed to being part of the family solution. And I offer alternatives for their life so they can restore their power and their dignity and their peace to their themselves and their families.
So, why is it so critical to keep families out of the family court system?
I kind of call it the family anti-court system. Court isn't a legal process, it's trauma. And the trauma echoes for years. It really does. The children often internalize the conflict and the blame or the fear, the emotional imprints that family court leave. And I know because my family had one of the most contentious family law cases in American history, my mother and father. And so that's one of the reasons why I ran right into law school to figure out the systems in order to help families. And so the parents carry the scars, and my parents did that too. The longer these cases drag on, the deeper the disconnection and the resentment builds. And I could talk about this firsthand. I had tons of resentment about these systems. But here's where I step in. I keep families out of court. We interrupt that cycle. We create space for their truth. We create space for repair and forward movement with love, not litigation, with love as a foundation. Because when they decided to form these families and they decided to get a marriage contract, love was the foundation. So that's the through line through my teachings is I break the marriage contract, we do up a new contract, the marriage settlement agreement, we figure out what's in the best interest of the family, and we do a parallel parenting. Sometimes they say you have to co-parent. No, I believe in parallel parenting. When the children are with dad, they're doing dad things. When the children are with mom, they're doing mom things. And it seems to be a really good plan for the families that I help co-facilitate their process through navigating the family court system.
So, what are some of the long term consequences of subjecting families, especially children, to the family court system?
You know, emotions run high during separation, and these children are experiencing grief and anger and fear and guilt. And without someone who's trained, those emotions can hijack the entire process and the entire family. And I've watched this happen. So my role is to be a calm in the storm, per se, a neutral, trauma informed facilitator who can decode what's unsaid. And I really can do that. It's one of my gifts. And I redirect the blame into understanding, and I guide families toward agreements that serve everyone involved, especially the children, because the children are the heart of this family and the children are our forever tomorrow. So I just help parents move from pain to purpose, and then I help shift them into a dynamic co-parenting, parallel parenting situation that nurtures and not fractures. I talk about this a lot, but nurtures the family and doesn't fracture the family. And it's centered around the children first.
That's such an important piece. Yeah, we talked about this earlier, but one of the things I really appreciate about you is that you're a master communicator and expert mediator. So, why is it important for families to really work with a trained expert like yourself, especially when navigating a separation or co parenting agreement?
Yeah, I think it relates back to the emotions are so high, and it seems like they're so volatile during this time. They've had years of marriage, and now their family dynamic is changing. And a lot of people I've found don't really like change because it's in the consistency that they feel safe. And so those emotions are running high. So you need someone who's trained, like myself, to guide and process. And just last week, I had a mom and dad in the office, and you can feel the tension in the room building, building, building. And I just said, you know what? Can we all just take a deep breath? In through our nose, out through our mouth, and just take the energy down a little bit. And just that simple pause really helped the families become better communicators because they can come through their heart. And then I just asked them to direct whatever next question that they had for the mom or the dad to first ask in your mind, is this a question that's directed in love? And then ask in your mind and then ask the dad. And she did, and it was great. And just taking a pause, taking a breath, slowing down. And I think the families in my space really feel seen and heard and cared for. They're not just a number through the system. Does that make sense?
It does. And thank you for sharing that because I understand you receive such positive feedback from all the families that you work with almost on a daily basis.
Absolutely. And there isn't a family that hasn't worked with me that has not come to some sort of resolution. We get agreements on the table. We get them on the table because what is the through line is these children. And even if they don't have children, and I just had this case also where, it's just husband and wife, they were just married for 3 years, and the wife had changed her vibration and they weren't resonating at the same vibration. And the soul contract per se had unraveled. And I'm like, hey, you guys don't have to hate each other. You can be good friends. And you don't know on the other side of this, you might be good friends after we just break the marriage contract, do up a new contract, a new agreement on the table, and you guys part ways. It might even be for the better of all concerned here. And they agreed and they worked it out, and it moves so seamlessly and effortlessly through the system. Because what happens is when we bring that marriage settlement agreement to the judge says, oh, there's no controversy before the court. You guys don't need me. I'll just sign off on here. You guys have figured it all out. Thank you so much. Have a good day. I'm signing off on your divorce decree. Go have a good life. And then you can energetically separate yourself from this divorce and go on, build your businesses, make a lot of money, go on the vacations, the travel that you want. And I see this happen all the time.
How refreshing is that instead of years of litigation that gets dragged out and children end up suffering because of such a long, drawn out process?
Yeah, and I just have, I kind of laugh because I just have a come to Jesus talk with them. I'm like, you guys could have this divorce take 5 to 8 years. Attorneys will like to keep you in argument. Have you ever met an attorney, Marianne, that says, you know what, let's go ahead and get this divorce case shored up. Let's get this finalized. No,
Mm-mm, never.
no, never. Because the more they keep this an argument, the more they keep this open, everybody's into a job. So I say, hey, you guys, you can take the $10,000 and put it into an attorney, or you can take the $10,000 and go to Tahiti. What would you most prefer?
I'm sure they're all showing going, I just want a vacation.
I left you too speechless, huh, Marianne?
You
Because it's
sure
like,
did.
hello. Yeah. I like
Like
it's like, hello.
Tahiti, where do I sign up for that?
That's right. And it's just like, can we look through this a little bit? We're not going to be arguing in court, wasting all of this energy. What's in the best interest of the family, of the children? God entrusted these children with you, and it's your duty to handle your affairs in the private and not bring your affairs to the public. Because the moment you bring it into the public sector, Cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. You're going to spend a lot of money, a lot of energy, a lot of time when something you guys could have just simply agreed on years earlier.
And there's so many more like pitfalls they can fall into also with if something happens they can lose their kids or their ability to see their children. It's once you get in the court system, it's all bets are off.
That's right. And I often tell them that when you bring it to the public sector, there's going to be intermeddlers, is what I call them. There are going to be family court services, counselors, there's going to be co parenting counselors, there's going to be reunification therapists, there's going to be therapists for the children. It's just like a cottage industry, and it's a closed loop system where they keep you through the system, in the system, always in the system. And justice is slow if it ever comes.
I'd like to pivot to your mindset and personal transformation work that you do. I mean, your practice is rooted in transforming mindsets and helping people excel in every area of their lives. And I can see where this is a core value that you work with people on, which is not surprising because your business is so highly successful. And I know people all over the world reach out to you to work with you on many different levels and in many different capacities. So, what does it look like? What does this work look like in the mediation room, the executive boardroom, or for individuals that are seeking personal transformation?
I love this. Let's see. Well, whether I'm divorcing a couple or working with a CEO, I see the same thing. People are yearning to be free from old patterns. They want to be free from the pain that they're carrying and the pressure. And so in my practice, transformation begins with awareness. I ask these good quality questions, naming what's really going on under the surface, and then creating a space for radical, compassionate change. So in mediation with me, it's shifting from um, defensiveness more into empathy. In the boardroom, it's unlocking that visionary leadership, unlocking what truly lights their fire to have them more in creative mode instead of stagnation. And with individuals, it's more of a return to self. I walk them back home for clarity, for purpose, and inner freedom. And I speak about this in my other books that the remedy is within. Once we fix that part of us inside of us, then the whole world starts to change.
It's interesting how these shifts can really help people really transform their lives. And you also work with corporations and high level executives. What helps leaders make rapid, lasting breakthroughs so they can remove barriers and step into the lives they've envisioned not only for themselves, but for their companies?
Mm. Breakthroughs happen when I start dismantling this illusion that success must come at a cost or a price or at their peace. I dismantle that illusion. I help leaders reconnect with their core values. I run a values based system to understand their top 5 values, and then we go hard at that. And when we go hard, we start to uncover their emotional blind spots, and then we start rewiring their internal scripts that keep them stuck. So we have all these limiting beliefs that keep us stuck in the background. And so through deep mindset work with me, I help them stop performing and start leading from a place of authenticity. And this is what I'm good at. Like, I am the most authentic person you will ever meet, and not from an egoic base. But I help them start leading from authenticity because that's what makes them special. And that's what creates shifts for extraordinary results. And I have testimony after testimony of people getting the results that they wanted, both professionally and personally, because they were willing to finally do the work.
I love that. And can you share a story about someone in business who's experienced a powerful breakthrough working with you?
Oh, yeah. So currently, I'm working with a CFO, and she was battling severe burnout at work, overworked, underpaid, contemplating walking out from all of it. She was like, I am done. And I'm like, wait, 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 wait. Okay, let's just work through your values, your mindset. Let's uncover these emotional blind spots. And through our sessions together, and she quickly made rapid results because I think she was there at that, like, she's like, okay, I'm so fed up and I'm so done, that the results were like in the quantum level. We uncovered that she was operating from a place of deep childhood wounding, and she never felt enough. She never felt good enough. And once we rewired that belief, and we integrated the new programming is that she's always been enough. She stepped into her whole new energy. And when she left my office, it, it we were both laughing because she was like 3 inches taller. So not only did she say, I think you've just saved my life, but I think you just saved my marriage. And I didn't believe that I can move through this so quickly, and yet I did. And it's with your help because I couldn't see the picture because I was in the frame. She couldn't see what was going on because she was living through it every single day. And so when I work outside of that and I can pinpoint what those limiting beliefs are and go back in your subconscious mind and rewire those, it's like immediate change. So her work and her business, now she's back at work and she's thriving. She's excited. She made $975 in 45 minutes on Tuesday. And she said, I didn't even try. So it was phenomenal when you're ready to show up and do the work, what happens?
Well, I know because we've had talks, and I know many of your clients are Fortune 500 executives or business owners who not only experience profound professional growth, but huge increases in their revenue. Can you give us an example of that?
Absolutely. And I'm also a testimony to my own business because I've seen huge increases in my revenue just from a space of embodiment on how we show up. Successful women show up differently. One woman came to me, she was struggling to scale her business beyond the six figures. The six figures was her glass ceiling. And she and I worked together. It just took 3 appointments. And we worked together to do deep mindset clearing and reconstructing her offers with what was aligned with her and her soul driven purpose. She hit her first 500K quarter within a month. And I was like, oh my gosh. She called me and said, Tisha, I can't believe that this happened. And I said, oh, no, 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 no. Those are not the words to use. The words to use are, yep, it just makes sense. And so she is getting more money than she ever thought, and she is feeling whole in the process. And that's the kind of success that I believe in. And it's where abundance flows. It's when you're in alignment with your true soul purpose on this planet we call home, when you are so far in your joy. And Marianne, I've moved from happiness to joy to bliss. And bliss is where the magic is. It gets to be so sweet here.
I think so many people just want to get to that place of happiness. Hearing you can go to joy and bliss, they're like, okay, where do I sign up for that?
And I just laugh. I say, let's go. Let's go. Sign up today, right?
And I know you work with so many people, helping them uncover and really release these patterns that are holding them back. What are some of the common ones that you see, and how do you guide people through this profound transformation?
The common ones are self abandonment, people pleasing, scarcity thinking, perfectionism is a good one. They're all rooted in unhealed emotional imprints from the systems, from our parents. So I gently guide my clients to explore the root causes of their patterns. And this is what I do with hypnotherapy is I go back to the root cause of where they anchored in these deep negative emotional states. Using the emotional change technique and the radical breakthrough protocol, my own personal modalities, I help reprogram the subconscious mind. And through this process, we dissolve the emotional charge that they had on anger, sadness, fear, guilt, shame, I'm not good enough, and we replace it with a more empowered choice. And it's not just mindset coaching, it's like soul level liberation, empowerment, like really stepping into their authenticity and their power. And I love this work because I see transformations daily.
Oh, wow. How amazing is that? I mean, what would you say is some of your most important work that you're doing right now?
I help a lot of domestic violence clients through the family court and helping women and leaders, top executives, remember who they are beyond the trauma, beyond whatever happened to them. I'm supporting a movement of people ready to heal their lineage, right? So we have to look at where we are today and the 7 generations that came before us and the 7 generations that come after us. And so when I look at that lineage, I embody my truth and I also release my parents from any of the resentment that I had on them because they were just doing the best they can with what they knew at their conscious level for that time. And so I just help them dissolve that emotional charge and help them move back to their own authentic voice. And I just guide them through kind of like the dark night of a soul. The mission is still the same throughout, is to restore sovereignty, one soul at a time, restore their empowerment, their sense of authority, and their self-worth and who they are and who they're being for their family and their community. And I help do that restorative work so that they can live a fully aligned, purpose-driven life.
Now, earlier we talked about how your journey has taken you from happiness to joy to bliss. So, how have you experienced this evolution and how do you help others do the same?
Yeah, so happiness, I just set the bar so low. So happiness was my goal. I'm like, okay, how do I be more happy? And then joy became a practice. And then bliss is now my state of being. I live in this blissful moment day by day in the now time. I used to chase achievements for validation. I used to do that. And now I create from my overflow. I've done the deep inner work for myself to transmute all of those negative energies and those negative emotions that I had in the past. And I transmuted that pain into power and pain into profit, really. And I teach others how to do this exactly. I give them the framework. Bliss to me, it's living in full alignment with who I am, my soul and my body and my mind, all three, the divine triad. Living in that every single day is where my bliss comes. And so I just teach people how to do the same.
Well, it's so nice that we have somebody that we can go to move through these steps and get to a place of happiness and joy and really bliss. I mean, for many people, that seems like such a stretch.
Right. And it is available to everyone. It's just, do you want it? It's calling it yours. Do you want to call it in? And that's what I had to do is I had to draw a line in the sand and say, you know what, Miss Tisha Marie Cain, you are done suffering. And then I went out and I searched for every coach, every therapist, every EMDR specialist, anyone and everyone who could get me from suffering into happiness. And it worked because I was so determined, because I made a line in the sand to take back my power, take back my authority, and co create really with God, Gus, whatever God means to you, co create with God to live the best version of me now. And I was not waiting any longer.
Well, I'd like to dive into your emotional change technique. I'd love to learn what that is and how is it different from like traditional therapy approaches, especially when you're working with your Fortune 500 business leaders or executives.
Yes, this it's a timeline therapy modality, and it's a holistic approach based on going back on your timeline and rewiring your limiting beliefs at the subconscious level to release emotional blocks quickly and safely. And I have not had any case where this has not worked. And we go back to the root cause of where you anchored in this emotion. And it's unlike traditional talk therapy, which often sometimes can reactivate the trauma within your body without resolving it. Emotional change technique helps the nervous system reset and integrate new beliefs. For my executive clients, it offers real results fast. And I talk about like the old paradigm is, slow, steady, progressive growth. No, I don't believe in that. I believe that we can have lasting change right now, today in the quantum if that's what you want. But you really have to walk away from these limiting beliefs and do a session with me to really create that emotional freedom and renew your sense of purpose through rewiring the subconscious mind.
What a big piece that is. Thank you for sharing that. So how do root emotions keep us stuck in life? And how does hypnotherapy heal and create meaningful changes in the stories of your clients?
Oh, man, I have so many stories on this. Root emotions like shame and fear and guilt. I know sadness. Sadness was my flavor. I wanted to hold on to that for long, long, long time. They become embedded in your body and your behavior. Like you can feel sadness in your body. Your body is like aching. It's how do you say, it's like those autoimmune diseases, fibromyalgia, it's sadness. They create loops that keep us reliving the same stories. Even when we logically know how to shift out and we know better to shift out of it. What I love about hypnotherapy is it helps us bypass the conscious mind and communicate directly with the subconscious where the loops live. And rewiring at the subconscious level is actually the medicine here. We gently shift those patterns. So my clients rewire their story, not just mentally, but energetically. And this is where true change happens in a hypnotherapy appointment.
Sounds like where all the magic is just being created.
I didn't believe it. I did not believe hypnotherapy as a modality was so transformative until I knew that sadness was my flavor and I signed up. And Marianne, after that one hypnotherapy appointment and me releasing sadness at the root cause through this emotional change technique, my husband said, "Wow, I got an upgraded wife." And he did. And it was from that moment on, it was a pivotal moment in my life. I said, I have to learn this modality. I have to be a leader in my community. I have to grow my impact and help people transform their life by this modality. And then I did exactly that.
That is so cool. Oh my goodness. I love that.
So great.
So, for people who are ready to make massive shifts in their life, but they just don't even know where to start, where should they begin?
I'd say just begin with curiosity. Begin with a simple question to yourself. What do I desire more than fear? What do I desire more than sadness? What do I desire? What is on my heart? And the sky is not the limit. They lied to us. The sky is not the limit. What is it that you desire? And then from there, everything will start to unfold. And so I invite my clients to always to take one courageous step forward, whether it's a discovery call with me, whether it's a journaling session, maybe it's sitting quietly in prayer, meditation, it's the same, to understand and uncover their truth. The path reveals itself as they begin to walk in their truth. Just be curious.
One of the things I really appreciate, and I've seen some of your testimonials where your clients are saying they feel like they're winning just by being in your energy. Why do you think that is?
I laugh because I love to win. And I win in court, I win in life, I win in the boardroom, the courtroom, I win. And that, I think it's attributed to I see them, not just for who they are, but who they truly are beneath the fear and the doubt. and the roles that they've played out in their life. I really see them, and that my energy is just an invitation for them to rise, for them to remember who they are. And so they know I can see them. And I've done the inner work myself, and I hold others to that unconditional presence. And the energy creates a container of safety, possibility, and soul activation. This is where it's at. And people rise when they feel seen. People rise when they feel safe. And they rise to create momentum forward thinking, thought provocative questions, building their future, building their life when they're seen and they're given the space where they can transform out of these limiting beliefs that they've held on to for so many years.
What a nice place to come from, getting to that place of personal liberation and moving through life in a completely new way.
Yeah. So I am a cheerleader for everyone. I'm standing on the sidelines rooting for you, whatever venture, if it's in the boardroom or the courtroom or in your life as a parent, I am cheerleading you on because I know that you're meant for more and I can see it. And when you're ready to do the work, this is where I'm here for you. I'm always here for you, cheering you on to the next level. And it gets to be that good.
So, Tisha Marie, where can people go to schedule a discovery call, or work with you, or maybe they're just ready to just dive into a hypnotherapy appointment and change their lives?
Sure. I offer a wide range of offerings. They could go to my website. They can message me directly through any of the social media platforms. I'm on all of them. I offer private discovery calls to explore what's possible for their family, for them personally. Um, and we co-create a path that supports them at their highest transformation. So just go to my website. That's the fastest way, tishamariecain.com. There's a discovery call. And if you're just ready and if you want to do the thing, let's do the thing. Schedule a exclusive, intensive hypnotherapy appointment today, and let's do the work to transform, to get everything that this life has coming to us so that we can win on all levels and we get to co-create with God. And that's just what's so beautiful is moving from happiness to bliss to joy. And I tell people, I'll see you at the top of the mountain. But Marianne, the truth is, I don't want to be the only one at the top of the mountain. I want everyone else up there with me too. So let's go.
Well, and you also do appointments by Zoom and even hypnotherapy, which I was so impressed with. So it doesn't, people don't have to be in your general location. I know you work with people all over the world.
Yes, and thank you for mentioning that. I work with people all over the world, and Zoom is very transformative too, because what I've found is they are in their safe space. They are in their home. Maybe they're lying on a sofa. I need to see their face, so I need some sort of visibility so I can watch the sensory acuity and watch them go deep into hypnotherapy and into trance-like state. So as long as I can see their face on Zoom, I've witnessed the biggest transformative changes for people who weren't even in my own country because they were in their own safe space and I just guided them through the process. So thank you for mentioning that because you don't have to be in my office and we can do it right over Zoom, which makes things very convenient.
Well, Tisha Marie, can you share your website with us one more time?
Sure. I could be reached at Tisha Marie Cain, CAIN.com. And you could go to the little hamburger icon, push on that, and go to appointments. And you have full visibility of my calendar. And I would love to support you in the next evolution of who you are.
Well, Tisha Marie, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show with us here today.
Thank you, Marianne.
Well, thank you, Tisha Marie. It's been such an honor to spend this time with you and to talk about your work beyond the courtroom, leading with clarity and inner authority. Make sure to visit Tisha Marie at her website, tishamariecain.com, or her legal website, CainsLegalSupport.com. Well, we're at the end of our time today. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. You've been listening to Moments with Mary Ann, where we make every moment count.
In a single moment, your life can change. Moments with Mary Ann is a transformative hour that covers an endless array of topics with the best of the best. Her guests are leaders in their fields, ranging from inspirational authors, top industry leaders, and business and spiritual entrepreneurs. Each guest is gifted and a true visionary, a recognized leader in her own work, and while teaching others to develop, refocus, and grow, Mary Ann will bring the best guest and sometimes a special surprise. Don't miss this. You never know just which moment will change your life forever. Make sure to tune in and visit momentswithmaryann.com for more information.